Hey everybody, it's Armin. Today we're going to be assembling a motor for Mr. DeLeon here. He's been waiting patiently for us to just do a standard rebuild on his NB Miata. So this is a 99 2000 model. My buddy Seth is here visiting again today. He's going to help me assemble this motor. We've already started in with cleaning up a bunch of stuff. All the pieces are apart, the oil pan's clean, stuff like that. This is the motor here. Just got it back from West Side Machine Shop. Has new D&J 50 thou over pistons. I guess the other pistons were not going to fit after the overbore required to clean up the bores. So nice clean surface. It's all just standard rebuild stuff in here, nothing fancy to show. And then we have the head over here, which has also been redone. Not much to see there either. We'll be replacing everything. Let's see, everything as necessary. So we have a timing water pump kit. We have a head gasket kit. Oil pan, rear main seal, assorted other seals, and then all OEM hoses. We have already cleaned the thermostat assembly. We've got an OEM thermostat in here as well. And that's kind of it. We'll just be going through it. The head gasket is currently outside. We have it with sprayed down with copper spray, as we usually do for all of our head gaskets. So we're just going to be fast forward videoing, cleaning up all the stuff, and assembling it. So come along with us. Okay, we're getting close to finish with all the cleanup and stuff. As you've seen, we've taken the water pump, we replaced out the hose here, assembled that stuff. The rear main, when disassembling, you should be removing the rear main from the bracket before removing the bracket. That wasn't done. So we're going to reinstall this as is and then remove the bracket, and then remove the seal so we can replace that. I've already transferred clamps to this hose. The oil pump is cleaned up. Over here I have the rear water outlet with the new the heater hose on it. So we have the oil cooler with 2 new hoses on it. The side pipe with the new O-ring and the other heater hose on it. Cleaned up our head bolts. And let's see, all the rest of the stuff's cleaned up down here. I did want to point out, we will be doing the motor mounts because this one, it demounted. So we're putting new motor mounts on this thing. Just as a point of detail, I also went through and I cleaned up a couple of surfaces, like mounting surfaces for brackets and such. And that's just to be extra clean, make sure everything goes together nicely. So after Seth cleans up the oil pan insert and the valve cover, we'll actually get to reassemble the motor. All right, we're going to take a momentary break while we gather some stuff up, clean our work area up, organize a little better, and then we'll start assembling this motor. second. Oh no.
What?
Righty loosey spark plug.
Oh no.
Alright, what you're about to witness is a righty loosey spark plug. So I tightened this one and this one and this one, no problem. That one just kept on spinning. I gotta figure out a solution for that. Not happy. I'm gonna keep on assembling. So it would seem I've done this process almost entirely upside down. Usually I do the oil pan first. I'm now going to do the oil pan last. Doesn't matter. Either way, we're missing a couple of bolts here and there. I went and got some and I've replaced them out. Let's see. I will need to come back at a later time and put a helicoil, I guess, into number 3, because it's not good that the thing was spinning freely. We're not going to install the motor until then. Did a bunch of stuff on the back side as well. Got the manifold on here. It's real easy to do, especially when you got a frozen EGR pipe. All this stuff is cleaned up and ready to be installed. We got our new hoses on everywhere. So now what we need to do is flip it over and install the oil pan, and I guess the rear main as well. So we pretty much got the engine completely assembled at this point, but we need to fix this number 3 spark plug. So I assembled this just to make sure it was out of the way for me to do the oil pan stuff. But since we do have this thing on a stand, the beauty here is that we can just flip it upside down and we don't have to worry about shards going into the cylinder. We can do it from the underside. So I got one of these thread repair kits from AutoZone. It's actually, it says Duralast brand, but this is the same kit that you get from anybody. It just comes with a bunch of these heat-treated, strong inserts or whatever. So it'll be stronger than what was in the head, which was just bare aluminum. And it's got this little installer tool, and then the self-centering tap. So the way this works is the threads here are the same size as the spark plug, so it gets aligned based off of the strip threads that you have. So it gives you something, and then it has a cutter right behind it, so then you're cutting straight through, and then it taps for the size of this insert. Now there are 3 different size inserts. We're going to pull that spark plug back out. I'm pretty sure we need to use the big insert. There's a little bit of a knurling on the last couple of threads, so it bites into the head and it holds. So we'll be installing this absolutely covered in red Loctite. So they say you want to make sure you put a bunch of thread locker on it, make sure it sticks, and then like I said, the knurling should bite into the head. Okay. That's kind of all the notes for this thing. We are still waiting on a motor mount to come in, so once we have a pair of motor mounts, those can go on, and then it'll be actually ready to drop in. So now, this is my actual first time doing a thread repair on a spark plug. Usually we find this out before we send the motor off, and then we have the machine shop do it, but we'll be doing it today. So if you take a look here, you can see the shavings. There's thread material. There's thread material just falling off the plug. So that's the stuff that was in the head. Okay, so I went and looked. I already had one of these tools, but it actually had a 3/8 in the back, so it'll make our life easier for tapping. Okay, a bunch of chunks came out, so we're going to vacuum that up real quick. I already blow gunned the hole, so there shouldn't be anything in there. We're going to flip back over and drop the insert in. Okay, we've got the insert in there. It's 11 or 12 threads to go in, so when we got down to the 10th thread, we experienced a lot of difficulty. And that's when I took it back out and I checked to see how many threads there were. So the 11th one is the knurling, and so is the 12th one. So I brought it down, and right when we got to 10, it got difficulty, like normal spark plug tightness difficulty. But then when we looked, we saw that it wasn't seated all the way, so pulled it back out, and then I gave it a lot of effort. As you saw, I pulled out the breaker instead, and I really gave it a whole lot of effort. So it went another 2 turns. We're good. So we're just gonna leave it in there. You're not supposed to run the engine for 24 hours. I don't think we're gonna have this car running in the next 24 hours, so not a problem. Now that we have everything done on the assembly side, what we can do is, or on the engine assembly side, all this stuff, we can put this on the ground, stick the clutch kit on, and then we're pretty much ready to drop it in, short of motor mounts. Right, Seth?
Yeah.
Cool. I forgot there's one more thing I want to take care of before we put this on the ground. On the flange here for the exhaust, we had one stud stayed, one stud came out, and then the other one was a nut and a bolt. So there are threads on half the hole, and then the other half of the hole is rounded off and it's off center. So we'll be reinstalling that, I guess, with a nut and a bolt. And then I'm just going to go ahead and do a tap real quick on this hole. That way we don't have a problem. And then, of course, whenever I reinstall it, I'll put on some anti-seize to make sure the next person, if they have to pull the exhaust, doesn't have that issue. All right, let's knock that out. So we've gotten the motor installed, we've gotten all of the things hooked up. We don't have the airbox in here, nor the upper radiator hose, nor the intake, obviously. We're going to do that after everything else is done, but at least wanted to demonstrate. We got that in there. So we lifted the car up higher. We've got the jack holding up the front of the motor to make it easier for us to install the transmission. I forgot we hadn't cleaned the transmission out, so when we brought it over, I went ahead and sprayed out the whole thing. It was caked up with, well, all of that stuff that was in there. So I'm going to clean off this nose here real quick. We're going to put in the new throw out. We already pressed in the pilot bearing into the clutch assembly, so it's already in there. So we're going to slide this guy under there and install it, and then we should be ready to fire it up. So yesterday we took care of getting everything back together, fully assembled. I replaced a bunch of bolts out that were incorrect. It seems that whomever had taken the motor out or worked on this several times previously used a bunch of random bolts. Made sure to put anti-seize on the downpipe bolts. We call it a downpipe just because it's not that it has a turbo, it's because the manifold is up here, but then there's like a pipe that goes down to the mid-pipe. Colloquially, we just call it the downpipe on these. By way, all this stuff's been fixed. Replaced out this hose because it was cracked. Now it's a soft new fuel hose. We actually had a bunch of worm gear clamps in this. I replaced them all out with OEM clamps because I have a bunch of extras on shelf. They're the constant tensions. All new radiator hoses from front to rear. Zip tied up a bunch of stuff that had missing clips. We've already filled up the radiator, but we haven't run it yet. And that's what we have to do now. So I forgot to mention, we won't be taking it out for a drive today because of the shifter. It has a broken collar on it, so I can't go and drive this until we do the shifter rebuild. But we'll be at least able to start it. And I forgot I have the battery over in the tender, so I'm going to go grab the battery, stick it in the car, and then we've got the battery into it. Went ahead and tried to fire it up. So it appears that we have an issue with it running idle, but if you give it a little bit of rev, it seems to run okay, but it will not idle. Now this car did come in with a running condition as well as the motor that needed to be rebuilt. So we went ahead and did the motor rebuild, and looks like there may be something more going on here. I'll show. Okay, after holding the RPMs up at like 2K for a little while, it ended up being able to idle, no problem. I got a check engine light right when I kicked it on, so I went ahead and grabbed my scanner. It came up as it's the coolant temp sensor, so I'll look further into that, but about the time that the scanner pulled the codes up, it started idling like crazy. You'll notice it's idling kind of rough right now. I unplugged the idle air controller. When I had the idle air controller plugged in, it was revving between like 2,500 and 3,500 repeatedly. So I unplugged it so it would stop doing that. Anyway, that's about the scope of the video. So thanks for watching. We're going to continue on diagnosing with this thing and see if we can get it to run appropriately with our new motor. Quick bonus content. I went ahead and checked the coolant temp sensor. So on the dash, the coolant temp sensor has two parts of the circuit. One goes to the dash and one goes to the ECU. The one on the dash looks fine because it sits in about the middle-ish position at warmed up, which seems about right. But when I pulled up the live data, it showed 17 degrees Fahrenheit in the engine. So we're going to go ahead and get him a new coolant temp sensor, and then hopefully this thing will run fine. But either way, we're going to end the video now. So again, thanks for watching.